The most dangerous lie you've been told about success isn't that it's impossible. It's that everyone around you wants it for you. Look around this room. Some of you are surrounded by people who secretly hope you'll stay exactly where you are. They smile to your face while they're placing invisible limitations on your growth. Does that statement make you uncomfortable? Good. Discomfort is often the first sign of truth. Success leaves clues, but so does sabotage. When I was 27 years old, I announced my plan to start my own business. You know what happened? 6 people I considered friends, immediately explained why it wouldn't work. The economy isn't right. You don't have enough experience. Most businesses fail in the first year. Not one asked about my strategy or offered support. I started anyway, and 20 years later, only one of those 6 friends remains in my life. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you shared a dream and watched someone's eyes change? That slight narrowing, that momentary flash of something that wasn't quite happiness for you. Pay attention to that. It tells you everything. The truth about your circle is written in their reactions to your growth. Some people love you exactly as you are, but not an inch beyond that. They've assigned you a role in their story, and your success wasn't in the script they wrote for you. Success doesn't just change you. It changes your relationships, and many relationships aren't built to withstand that transformation. Think about crabs in a bucket. When one tries to escape, the others pull it back down. They don't even know why they're doing it. It's instinct. Human beings can operate from the same primitive instinct. Your ambition triggers something in others. A mirror they didn't ask for, reflecting possibilities they've given up on. You're getting too big for your britches. Who do you think you are? You're changing. These phrases aren't observations. They're attempts at control. Some people in your life would rather see you comfortable than exceptional. Mediocrity loves company, while excellence stands mostly alone. Your growth threatens their excuses. Every pound you lose challenges their reasons for remaining overweight. Every dollar you earn confronts their justifications for financial struggle. Every goal you accomplish dismantles their narrative about what's possible. This isn't about paranoia. It's about clarity. Not everyone wishes you ill, but not everyone wishes you growth either. The truth is, some relationships in your life come with expiration dates. Some people are with you for a season, not a lifetime. And that's not tragedy. That's natural law. I had a business partner once who contributed tremendous value in our first 3 years. But as our company evolved, he fought every expansion, every risk, every change. He wasn't malicious. He was comfortable, and comfort is the enemy of growth. Eventually, I realized we were playing different games. He wanted security. I wanted expansion. Neither was wrong, but they couldn't coexist in the same business model. The hardest decisions in life aren't between good and bad, but between good and better. When you truly commit to your potential, you'll discover that your environment will either rise to meet you or resist you with surprising force. Both responses are valuable information. Your growth will always reveal people's true capacity for supporting others' success. Some will cheer louder. Others will grow quieter. Pay attention to both. There are 4 types of people you'll encounter on your path to success. First, the supporters. These rare individuals genuinely celebrate your victories as if they were their own. They ask how they can help, not what's in it for them. Their philosophy is abundance. Your success doesn't diminish their opportunities. Then there are the tolerators. These people don't actively undermine you, but they change the subject when you share wins. They offer lukewarm congratulations while quickly returning to their concerns. They're not enemies, but they're not allies either. Third come the resistors. These individuals actively work to maintain the status quo. When you improve, they'll remind you of past failures. When you dream, they'll call it unrealistic. They're threatened by the possibility that your success might expose their complacency. Finally, there are the saboteurs. These are the most dangerous because they often disguise themselves as supporters. They give advice designed to derail. They create drama when you need focus. They protect you from opportunities by pointing out every possible risk. I want you to conduct an inventory tonight. Write down the 10 people you spend the most time with. Next to each name, mark whether they're a supporter, tolerator, resistor, or saboteur. Then ask yourself the most important question. Does this circle reflect where I'm going or where I've been? Most people's social circles aren't created by design. They're accumulated by circumstance. Neighbors, coworkers, old classmates, family members. But exceptional achievement requires exceptional influences. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This isn't just a clever saying. It's mathematical reality. Their habits become your habits. Their standards become your limitation. A sobering truth. Some people would rather see you fail than succeed beyond them. It doesn't make them evil, it makes them human. Insecurity speaks many languages, and sabotage is one of them. I coached an executive who couldn't understand why her career had plateaued. During our work together, she realized her husband subtly discouraged every promotion opportunity. He would say, "You already work such long hours." Or, "Do we really need the extra money?" On the surface, these comments seemed caring. The underlying message was clear. Your success threatens our arrangement. When she finally took a significant promotion, their marriage required complete renegotiation. He had to confront his own insecurities. Some relationships can survive this evolution, others cannot. Sometimes the people claiming to protect you from disappointment are actually protecting themselves from comparison. Your growth forces others to confront their own choices. Many would rather question your path than examine their complacency. It's easier to advise caution than to acknowledge missed opportunities. Pay attention to timing. Who calls when you're celebrating? Who disappears when you're succeeding? Who finds problems when you share solutions? These patterns reveal everything about who belongs in your future. I'm not suggesting you discard people callously. I am suggesting you distribute your energy intentionally. Some people deserve your time, but not your dreams. Some deserve your respect, but not your vulnerability. Learn to match the right level of disclosure with the right relationship. There's an old proverb. Before telling your problems to any person, first tell them to a tree. If the tree begins to cry, then the person will likely understand you too. Most people cannot handle the weight of your ambitions or struggles because they're fully occupied with their own. The most dangerous voices aren't those who tell you you can't do it. The most dangerous say you don't need to do it. They encourage you to settle, to accept, to be grateful for mediocrity. And they do this out of love. Love that's limited by their own vision. Let me tell you about 2 childhood friends, both brilliant, both ambitious. One surrounded himself with challenging peers who pushed his thinking, questioned his assumptions, celebrated his wins, and helped him analyze his losses. The other remained in his comfortable neighborhood circle, where he was always the smartest person in the room, always the one with the most potential. 20 years later, the first owns a company that operates in 6 countries. The second still talks about what he's going to do someday. Same potential, different environments, different results. Your growth will require difficult conversations. When someone consistently responds to your goals with doubt or redirection, address it directly. I've noticed whenever I share my plans, your first response focuses on the potential problems. I wonder if you're aware of that pattern. Give people a chance to rise to your growth. Some will surprise you with their capacity to evolve alongside you. Others will confirm your suspicions with their defensiveness. The quality of your life isn't just determined by what you do. It's determined by what you'll no longer accept. This includes behavior from others that undermines your progress. Some relationships need renegotiation, clear boundaries, adjusted expectations, new agreements. I value our friendship, but I need support for my goals even when you don't understand them fully. Other relationships require distance. This isn't punishment. It's protection of your most valuable resource, your mindset. The mindset required for exceptional achievement is fragile in its early stages. It needs careful cultivation and protection. One prolonged exposure to toxic doubt can set you back months. Your dreams deserve protection. Your potential deserves environments where it can fully express itself. Most people live with continuous exposure to limitation thinking. Family dinners filled with complaints about impossibility. Social gatherings centered on reasons why change is too difficult. Media consumption reinforcing scarcity and fear. Is it any wonder most dreams die before they're born? They never had a fighting chance in environments designed to maintain comfortable mediocrity. Creating distance from those who constrain your growth isn't selfish, it's necessary. You cannot become what you need to be by remaining where you are, surrounded by influences that reinforce who you've been. Many relationships are based on mutual limitation, unspoken agreements to remain safely average together. When you violate these agreements by pursuing excellence, expect resistance. That resistance isn't personal, it's preservation of the familiar. There's an old saying that eagles don't fly with pigeons. This isn't about superiority, it's about purpose and direction. You cannot soar with those determined to remain grounded, and you cannot expect those who've never seen the view from above to understand why height matters to you. Here's what I want you to understand. The resistance you feel from others toward your growth is actually a sign you're on the right path. If everyone in your life thinks your goals are reasonable, your goals are too small. I remember sharing my revenue target with a mentor early in my business. He laughed, not mockingly, but with genuine amusement. If that number doesn't make people uncomfortable, he said, it's not going to make you uncomfortable enough to grow. Your true path will disturb some people. Let it. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your potential is. Most people who discourage your dreams aren't malicious. They're scared for you, because growth involves risk. Scared for themselves, because your evolution will require change in your relationship. Understand this. Not everyone deserves access to your dreams. Share your vision selectively with those who have demonstrated capacity to handle success, yours and their own. Success requires concentration. Your attention, your energy, your time. These are finite resources. Where they're invested determines what you'll harvest. Spend them on people who multiply them, not divide them. The hard truth. Some people unconsciously want you to stay small so they can remain comfortable. They may love you, but they love their comfort more. Your responsibility isn't to make others comfortable with your growth. Your responsibility is to become everything you're capable of becoming. You'll find as you progress that some people can only celebrate the success they understand or have experienced themselves. Beyond that threshold, their congratulations grow hollow. This is why exposure to greater achievement is vital. You need relationships with people playing at levels beyond your current reach, people who find your impossible goals completely reasonable. When your vision exceeds your environment, you have two choices: shrink your vision or expand your environment. I've watched countless people with extraordinary potential gradually reduce their ambitions to match their limited surroundings. What painful accommodations have you made to remain accepted by people who cannot see your full potential? Every environment has a thermostat, an acceptable range of achievement, belief, and behavior. Exceed that range, and the environment will work to cool your ambition or heat your doubts until you return to the approved setting. Finding your true potential requires environments where the thermostat is set higher than your current performance. Places where your impressive achievement is considered a starting point, not a destination. Some people will call you obsessed, extreme, unrealistic, or changed. These words reveal more about their limitations than yours. Extraordinary results require extraordinary commitments that average thinking will always misinterpret. Remember, criticism comes from those watching the game, not those on the field with you. Consider the source of every opinion you receive. The path to your potential will be lonely at times. Periods of isolation aren't failure, they're transition. You're between environments, between circles, between versions of yourself. This space between is necessary for transformation. When you find yourself surrounded by people who don't understand your path, don't dilute your ambition. Elevate your company. The conversations that will change your life are happening right now among people who think bigger than your current circle permits. Here's your challenge. Identify the 3 relationships that most lift your thinking, expand your belief, and inspire your action. Now double the time you invest in these relationships this month. Then identify the 3 relationships that most drain your energy, constrain your thinking, or discourage your ambition. Cut your exposure to these influences in half immediately. Small adjustments in who surrounds you create massive shifts in what becomes possible for you. Guard the gates to your attention as if your future depends on it, because it does. Your potential is too valuable to be entrusted to those who cannot recognize it or nurture it. Choose carefully who gets to speak into your life, who gets to shape your expectations, who gets to influence your decisions. The truth about your circle ultimately reveals the truth about your future. What surrounds you will either limit you or liberate you. It will either expand what you believe is possible or contract it to match the average of its expectations. Your potential is too valuable to be entrusted to those who cannot recognize it or nurture it. Choose carefully who gets to speak into your life, who gets to shape your expectations, who gets to influence your decisions. The truth about your circle ultimately reveals the truth about your future. What surrounds you will either limit you or liberate you. It will either expand what you believe is possible or contract it to match the average of its expectations. Now there's something even more fundamental you must understand. Life operates according to patterns, predictable cycles of growth and resistance that govern everything from oak trees to stock markets to human achievement. These patterns aren't random. They're laws as reliable as gravity. Have you ever noticed how success seems to create its own momentum and how challenges often cluster together? This isn't coincidence. It's pattern. The first pattern you must recognize is the cycle of growth. Everything valuable follows this four-stage sequence: preparation, opportunity, action, and harvest. Most people want the harvest without understanding the other three stages are non-negotiable. The farmer doesn't complain about preparing the soil. He doesn't resent planting seeds that show no immediate results. He doesn't abandon his fields during growing season. He understands the pattern. Each stage serves the next. When you recognize this pattern in your own life, patience becomes easier. You stop expecting harvests during planting season. You stop abandoning opportunities because they require preparation. You align your expectations with natural law. I talked with a man who complained nothing was working in his business. "I've tried everything," he said. When I asked how long he'd been implementing his strategy, he said, "Almost 3 weeks." He was violating the pattern, expecting an oak tree 2 days after planting an acorn. This misalignment between expectation and natural law creates unnecessary suffering. The solution isn't working harder, it's understanding timing. The seasons don't bend to our schedules. Neither do the seasons of achievement. There are times for aggressive expansion and times for consolidation, times for bold risk and times for patient building. Wisdom lies in knowing which season you're in. What season are you experiencing right now? Are you in winter, a time of planning and preparation? Spring, a time of new beginnings and planting? Summer, a time of growth and tending? Or fall, a time of harvest and completion? Each season requires different actions, different mindsets, different relationships. And here's what few understand. Each season brings its own form of resistance. This brings us to the second pattern, the law of resistance. Everything seeking growth will encounter proportional opposition. The bigger your goals, the stronger the resistance. This isn't punishment, it's physics. Many interpret resistance as evidence they should stop. That's backwards. Resistance is evidence you're finally moving in the right direction. The universe doesn't waste resistance on those going nowhere. Think about weight training. The resistance isn't preventing growth, it's creating it. Your muscles grow stronger precisely because they must overcome opposition. Remove the resistance, and you remove the growth. The same principle applies to every aspect of achievement. The problems you face aren't separate from your growth. They're creating it. The obstacles in your path aren't blocking your progress. They are the path. This resistance takes many forms. Sometimes it's external, market conditions, resource limitations, competitive pressure. More often it's internal, doubt, fear, uncertainty. But the most insidious form comes through other people. When you begin moving toward significant achievement, you'll activate resistance in your relationships. Some people will resist your growth openly. Others will create subtle drag through discouragement disguised as realism. I know a woman who decided to transform her health. The moment she began losing weight, her 3 closest friends started bringing her favorite desserts as treats. When she declined, They accused her of becoming obsessed and no longer being fun. Their comments intensified as her results became visible. Was this deliberate sabotage? Not consciously, but unconsciously. Her changes threatened their comfortable patterns. Her discipline highlighted their lack of it. Her results challenged their excuses. Rather than face these uncomfortable truths, they tried to pull her back to their level. This happens in every area of achievement. Start saving money, and someone will tell you why you deserve to spend it. Start a business, and someone will list every potential failure. Start setting boundaries, and someone will call you selfish. The relationship patterns that supported your old self will resist your emerging self. This resistance isn't personal, it's mechanical. Systems resist change. Homeostasis is the tendency of any system to maintain stability, even when that stability is mediocre. Your current results reflect your current patterns. Change those patterns, and you'll trigger resistance from everything connected to them, including people. Here's the third pattern. You must understand the law of association. You will inevitably move toward the dominant thinking of those you associate with most closely. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Their average income is predictive of yours. Their average health habits forecast your physical condition. Their level of positivity or negativity shapes your outlook. This isn't theory, it's observable reality. Association isn't just about who you choose to be around, it's about who you choose to listen to, read, watch, and learn from. Every input is programming your expectations, beliefs, and behaviors. Most people dramatically underestimate this influence. They believe their thinking is independent, their goals are self-determined, their habits are personal choices. But science shows repeatedly that we are far more influenced by our environment than we realize. The Navy SEALs have a saying, under pressure, you don't rise to the occasion. You sink to the level of your training. The same principle applies to achievement. Under life's pressures, you default to the average thinking of your closest associations. This creates a critical question. Who are you becoming by association? Are your current relationships elevating your standards or lowering them? Expanding your thinking or constraining it? Energizing your ambition or depleting it? The answer determines your ceiling of achievement. No one rises far beyond their circle of influence. The gravitational pull is too strong. I watched a talented executive plateau for years because his primary associations were with people playing smaller games. His goals seemed unrealistic to them, his ambitions unnecessary. Eventually, he internalized these limitations and stopped reaching. When he finally changed his associations, joining a mastermind of higher achievers, everything shifted. Suddenly, his unrealistic goals seemed modest. His unnecessary ambitions became baseline expectations. Within 18 months, he doubled his income and impact simply by changing who influenced his thinking. Your potential expands or contracts to match your associations. Choose wisely. The fourth pattern reveals why some people actively resist your growth. The law of mirror neurons. Humans are biologically wired to feel threatened by others' advancement because it reflects possibilities they've denied themselves. When you improve, you become a living reminder of what others could do but haven't. You trigger what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort that occurs when actions contradict beliefs. People have 2 ways to resolve this discomfort: elevate their actions to match the new evidence you're providing, or dismiss your results to preserve their limiting beliefs. Most choose the easier path, dismissal. She just got lucky. He's being unrealistic. That approach wouldn't work for most people. She's sacrificing too much. These dismissals protect their worldview while sabotaging your momentum. Understand this. When people discourage your growth, they're often defending their own choices, not evaluating yours. Their resistance says more about their relationship with possibility than about your potential. This creates a pivotal choice point. Will you adjust your ambitions to make others comfortable, or will you pursue your potential despite their resistance? Average achievement requires no special environment. Exceptional achievement demands it. You must deliberately structure your surroundings to support your highest aspirations, not your current habits. Here's the fifth pattern, the law of environmental design. Your environment will always win over your intentions. Willpower cannot consistently overcome surroundings designed against your goals. If you want to eat healthier, a kitchen full of processed food will defeat your best intentions most days. If you want to build wealth, friends who pressure you to spend will undermine your financial discipline. If you want to build a business, Family members who demand your time and attention during productive hours will sabotage your focus. The solution isn't more willpower, it's strategic environmental design. Structure your surroundings to make your desired behaviors the path of least resistance. This principle applies directly to relationships. You must structure your social environment to support your growth, not obstruct it. This doesn't mean discarding relationships. It means redesigning them around your emerging self, not your familiar patterns. Some relationships need clear boundaries. I value our friendship, but I can't discuss my business goals with you if your first response is always doubt. Some need limited exposure. I'll meet you for lunch, but not during my productivity hours. Others need complete restructuring. Our relationship needs to evolve if I'm going to pursue my potential. These conversations aren't easy, but they're necessary. The alternative is quiet surrender of your possibilities to preserve temporary comfort. I worked with an aspiring author who couldn't understand why she never finished her book. The problem became clear when I visited her home. Her writing desk faced the family room, where her husband watched television every evening during her only writing time. When she tried to write, he constantly interrupted with comments, questions, and observations. Was he deliberately sabotaging her? No, he simply wasn't structured into her success pattern. Once she moved her desk to a separate room and set clear boundaries around her writing hours, the book progressed rapidly. Small environmental adjustments create massive shifts in possibility. Who sits beside you while you work? What conversations happen during your planning time? What inputs enter your mind during your creative periods? These factors determine outcomes more than your intentions. The sixth pattern explains why changing your environment feels so difficult. The law of inertia. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest. This applies to achievement as much as physics. Your current results have momentum. Your relationships have established patterns. Your thinking has well-worn pathways. Creating change requires overcoming this inertia, and that requires significant initial force. This explains why breaking out of limiting environments feels so uncomfortable at first. You're fighting established momentum. Your decisions face resistance. Your changes trigger opposition. It feels wrong because it contradicts established patterns. But once new momentum builds, maintaining becomes easier than returning to old patterns. The same force that resisted your initial change now supports your continued progress. I remember the discomfort of my first higher-level business event. I felt out of place among more successful people. Their conversations intimidated me. Their confidence highlighted my insecurities. Everything in me wanted to retreat to my familiar environment where I felt competent and comfortable. But I stayed, and gradually their level of thinking became my normal. Their standards became my baseline. Their expectations became my minimum. What initially felt uncomfortably foreign eventually became my new homeostasis. Breaking environmental inertia requires tolerating temporary discomfort for permanent elevation. The alternative is permanent comfort and temporary excitement about unfulfilled potential. The seventh pattern reveals why some people resist your growth more intensely than others. The law of investment. People protect what they've invested in, including their version of you. Some people have invested years in a particular relationship dynamic with you. They've built expectations, patterns, and identities around who you've been. When you change, their investment feels threatened. This explains why family members often resist your growth more strongly than distant associates. They've invested more in who you've been. Their story about you runs deeper. Their expectations are more established. Your evolution challenges their emotional equity. Understanding this helps depersonalize their resistance. It's not about your worthiness. It's about their investment. They're protecting their version of reality, not attacking your potential. This creates space for compassion. You can honor their investment while still pursuing your growth. I understand this feels like a big change. It is. And I value our relationship enough to find new ways to connect as I evolve. Sometimes this negotiation works. The relationship finds new footing that honors both your growth and their needs. Sometimes it doesn't. The gap between their investment in who you've been and who you're becoming proves too wide to bridge. This brings us to the eighth and most profound pattern, the law of seasons. Not every relationship is meant for every season of your life. Some people are with you for a reason. Some for a season, some for a lifetime. Discerning the difference prevents needless struggle against natural endings. Reason relationships serve a specific purpose. Once that purpose completes, the relationship naturally concludes. The college roommate who helped you through a difficult time, the mentor who guided a particular transition, the colleague who partnered on a specific project. Season relationships span longer periods, but not your entire journey. The friends who were perfect during your 20s but don't align with your 30s. The business partners whose skills matched your early needs, but not your expansion. The social circle that fit who you were becoming, but not who you've become. Lifetime relationships evolve through every season. They adapt to your growth, celebrate your advancement, and find new connection points as old ones fade. These rare relationships aren't threatened by your evolution. They're enhanced by it. Most relationship difficulties come from mistaking reason or season connections for lifetime commitments. You try forcing continuation where natural completion has occurred. You fight to preserve what's fulfilled its purpose. You cling to seasonal connections when the season has changed. This creates unnecessary pain for everyone involved. The relationship strains against its natural conclusion. Both parties feel the tension of artificial continuation. What could end with gratitude and completion becomes complicated by resistance and resentment. Some relationships reach natural conclusions. Some can't accommodate your growth. Some belong to who you were, not who you're becoming. This isn't failure. It's life's natural rhythm. The highest form of honoring a relationship is allowing it to be what it truly is, not forcing it to be what it cannot become. Sometimes the most respectful choice is graceful completion, not strained continuation. These 8 patterns, the cycle of growth, the law of resistance, the law of association, the law of mirror neurons, the law of environmental design, the law of inertia, the law of inertia, the law of investment, and the law of seasons, govern the relationship between your growth and the resistance it triggers. Understanding these patterns transforms how you interpret opposition. Resistance becomes information rather than obstruction. Relationship difficulties become navigation points rather than roadblocks. Environmental limitations become design opportunities rather than fixed constraints. You stop taking resistance personally and start seeing it structurally. You stop blaming others for their natural responses and start creating environments that support your unnatural growth. Most importantly, you realize that not everyone can or should accompany you on your full journey. Some will join for segments, some will watch from a distance, some will actively resist, and a precious few will travel beside you through every elevation. Your responsibility isn't ensuring everyone approves of your path. Your responsibility is ensuring your path honors your potential. The right people will find this alignment magnetic. The wrong people will find it threatening. Both responses are providing valuable information about who belongs in your future. Ever wondered why some people seem to have everything figured out while others struggle despite working just as hard? The answer often lies not in what they do, but in who they surround themselves with. Your environment shapes you more than you might realize. Think about the 5 people you spend most of your time with. Their habits, attitudes, and energy become your normal. Their ceiling becomes your floor. Creating your success circle isn't about cutting people off or being calculating. It's about intentionally nurturing relationships that elevate you while gradually distancing yourself from those that drain your energy or limit your vision. Start by identifying the qualities you admire and want to develop. Then look for people who embody these traits. These individuals don't need to be perfect. Authenticity matters more than perfection. What's important is their overall direction and commitment to growth. When building your success circle, diversity brings strength. Include mentors who've walked paths you aspire to travel, peers who challenge you constructively, and supporters who believe in you unconditionally. Each serves a different purpose in your growth journey. Remember that proximity doesn't always require physical presence. Books, podcasts, and courses connect you with the wisdom of exceptional minds. While nothing replaces genuine human connection, these resources can supplement your circle with perspectives you might not otherwise access. Now, what about the people already in your life who may not contribute to your growth? You don't need dramatic exits. Sometimes creating healthy distance happens naturally as you invest more time in relationships that align with your aspirations. The most powerful shift happens when you become intentional about your daily practices. These seemingly small habits form the foundation of lasting transformation. The most successful people don't rely on motivation. They build systems that make success almost inevitable. Morning rituals deserve special attention. How you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Instead of reaching for your phone, give yourself the gift of presence. Even 15 minutes of mindfulness, movement, or reflection can transform your mental state. Gratitude practice ranks among the most impactful daily habits. Our brains naturally fixate on problems and threats, an evolutionary mechanism that once helped us survive but now often creates unnecessary stress. By deliberately focusing on what's going well, you rewire your neural pathways toward positivity. Try this. Each morning, write down 3 specific things you're grateful for. Not vague concepts like family, but precise moments. The way my daughter laughed during our bedtime story, or the supportive message from my colleague. This specificity amplifies the emotional impact. Physical movement is non-negotiable. Your body and mind are interconnected systems. When you nurture your physical health, cognitive function improves, stress diminishes, and emotional resilience strengthens. The form matters less than consistency. Find movement you enjoy enough to sustain. Most people underestimate how significantly their environment influences their choices. Make success the path of least resistance by designing your spaces thoughtfully. Keep healthy options visible and accessible. Position reminders of your goals where you'll see them regularly. Remove friction from positive behaviors while adding steps to those you want to reduce. Learning becomes a competitive advantage when approached systematically. Dedicate time each day to expanding your knowledge base. This doesn't require hours. Even 20 minutes of focused study compounds dramatically over time. The key is selectivity. Choose resources with intention rather than consuming information randomly. Throughout your day, practice mindful transitions between activities. Many people rush from task to task, carrying the mental residue of previous responsibilities. Instead, pause briefly between engagements. Take 3 deep breaths, acknowledge what you've completed, and set an intention for what comes next. The evening hours deserve as much intentionality as mornings. Create a shutdown ritual that helps you process the day and prepare for tomorrow. Review your accomplishments, note lessons learned, and identify your most important tasks for the following day. This practice reduces anxiety and improves sleep quality. Speaking of sleep, it's perhaps the most underrated success factor. Cognitive performance, emotional regulation, physical recovery, and creativity all depend on sufficient rest. Protect your sleep environment and schedule with the same diligence you apply to important meetings. When obstacles inevitably arise, your response determines whether they become stumbling blocks or stepping stones. Develop the habit of asking empowering questions. What can I learn from this? Rather than why does this always happen to me? The quality of your questions shapes the quality of your life. Remember that consistency outperforms intensity. Small daily actions maintain momentum even when motivation fluctuates. Track your progress in ways that reinforce your identity as someone who follows through. Each completed commitment builds self-trust, perhaps your most valuable asset. Balance structured routine with periodic reflection. Monthly reviews help you recognize patterns, celebrate progress, and adjust course when necessary. During these assessments, be honest about what's working and what isn't. Adaptability prevents helpful systems from becoming rigid constraints. Throughout this process, remember that comparison is the thief of joy. Your journey is uniquely yours. While others' experiences can inspire you, measuring yourself against external benchmarks often diminishes satisfaction. Focus instead on becoming better than your previous self. The people around you will notice changes in your energy and outlook. Some will celebrate your growth. Others might unconsciously resist it. Human relationships naturally seek equilibrium. When you evolve, certain dynamics shift. Navigate these transitions with compassion while remaining committed to your path. When sharing your aspirations, choose wisely. Not everyone deserves access to your dreams, especially in their vulnerable early stages. Find accountability partners who understand the vision and support your process. without attaching their expectations to your outcomes. Creating your success circle and establishing daily practices isn't about perfection, it's about progression. Some days will flow easily, others will test your resolve. What matters is returning to your intentional practices even after interruptions. Remember, this transformation happens through consistent action, not occasional intensity. Your daily choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but they accumulate into the life you experience. Choose wisely, surround yourself with people who elevate you, and trust the process. The most profound change often happens gradually, almost imperceptibly. Then one day you realize you've become someone who accomplishes what you once only imagined. That's the power of your success circle and daily practices. They quietly transform possibility into reality. What small step will you take today to begin building your success circle? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and that step is always worth taking.